Don't know the difference between a 50 Strat and a 60 Strat? Watch this. Hi, Sam from Guitar Village here, and today we're going to look at the differences between a 50s and a 60s Strat. Before we get started, I will mention we're not going to go really nerdy. We're not going to look at what paint supplies they used or where they got their Phillips head screws from, but we are going to go quite in depth. So, let's get started. Okay, so first up, I picked this 50 style custom shop Fender Strat, and I think this really highlights a lot of what was going on during the mid-50s anyway, when the Strat was first released in '54. Initially, you're going to have an ash body until you get later on into the 50s when they changed to alder. You're also going to have a one-piece maple neck and most likely a skunk stripe down the back of it. Other things that you will notice is a single-ply pickguard. In the 50s, Fender were very fond of using these single-ply pickguards, but as time went on they did warp. These also have 8 holes on them. You've got black dot inlays both on the front and on the side of the neck as well. And what we found with a lot of these Strats is that they have brighter sounding pickups. Because the tweed amps are a little bit warmer sounding, they made the pickups brighter, so they complemented them really nicely. Now let's have a look at the 60 Strat for comparison. So here I've got a 1964 reissue Strat. It's in candy apple red. You might notice one thing straight away, obviously it's a different colour, but you'll also notice that it has a rosewood fretboard on this one. So it's still a maple neck, but with a rosewood fretboard. And a lot of people feel that the rosewood is a slightly warmer sounding wood. I'm not sure, we did do a video on it. I think it's pretty neck and neck. Other differences though, obviously you wouldn't put black dots on a rosewood fretboard. So they would have moved to clay dots initially, but on this model, as it's a 64, you're going to have pearloid style dots on there as well. This also has a different logo on the top. So the traditional spaghetti logo that we saw on the last Strat, that was very classic for Fender. And then as they go into the 60s, they start adding pattern numbers to it. And then they went to this transition logo before CBS took over. The body on this one is an alder body, as Fender decided that they preferred using alder. Might have been cheaper, I'm not sure, but generally what you'll find is if it's a solid colour, it's going to be alder underneath. Other small differences, you're going to find that the contouring on the body is slightly different to the earlier ones. The pickups are a little bit warmer sounding because the blackface amps they had in the 60s were slightly brighter, so it's kind of vice versa with the tweed amps and the slightly brighter sounding 50s pickups. Another thing that a lot of players will really notice when they first pick up a 60s style Strat is the neck profiles. When you look at the 50s Strat, it's a slightly chunkier neck with a slight V to it as well, until they got towards the end of the 50s. And then early 60s, you're going to start to get these slimmer, more tapered profiles in there as well. Let's have a listen to each one and see how they sound. So you've had a listen to these guitars back to back now, and hopefully you've got an opinion on how you think each one sounds, so please do put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Now there was a couple of other changes I hadn't mentioned earlier that I thought were quite interesting about the Strat. So when the Strat was first brought out, it had 100k pots in it instead of the 250k that we're so used to seeing, and that would give it a slightly warmer tone. Now, other things, and these are nitty-gritty little details, but the string tree on this one isn't that typical for a kind of mid-50s Strat. This is kind of slightly later in some ways, but this has a butterfly or square string tree on it instead of the round that they were using. It also has a single ply pickguard that I mentioned earlier, and this has 8 screw holes on it, whereas the 64 reissue Strat that I had, this one has an 11-hole 3-ply pickguard. Now, the reason they went to 3-ply is because it was a bit more stable and didn't warp like the original 1-ply. Something else that was really important during the 50s as well is how they changed the sunburst. So the original Strats actually were kind of really a one-colour sunburst. They left the middle of the guitar natural and then just sprayed black around the edges. It wasn't until later on they started to add amber in the middle, and then later on they added the red in for that classic 3-colour sunburst look that I think more of us are familiar with. I think for me the main takeaway from this video is that the custom shop actually offers some really cool options for you. You can order an exact replica of a 56 Strat or a 62 Strat, whatever one you prefer, or you can mix and match, and in these cases I think we've kind of got two very opposite guitars. I think the Candy Apple Red was probably almost a purist guitar in the fact that they've gone almost spot on for the specs of that year, whereas this is kind of more, it's a 50s vibe Strat. It has a 3-colour sunburst, so you'd be looking late 50s, but it has an ash body which you would see kind of fade out in mid 56. And then it has a square string tree, if you're really into your nerdy details. So you do have some really cool options from the custom shop. Now, we had a lot of fun making this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. We will bring out new videos every week, so make sure you click the subscribe button now to stay up to date with the latest content. Thanks for watching.